Epstein-Barr doesn't usually come alone. It brings friends. After helping people with chronic Epstein-Barr for over a decade, what has become very obvious to me is there are typically co-infections that allow the Epstein-Barr to continue to replicate in the body. Here are the most common 6 co-infections I see. Number 1 is strep bacteria in the gut. Strep bacteria can live in the gut, and we often think, I took antibiotics, it's gone. But it's one of those bacteria that can hide in the cells under biofilms, and strep bacteria co-infects with Epstein-Barr virus more often than you'd ever believe. In fact, the research says almost 80% of the time. Number 2 is a bacteria called Klebsiella. Now, this has actually been coined the autoimmune bacteria because it has been linked to numerous autoimmune conditions when you have a chronic Klebsiella bacteria in your gut. And it often comes with Epstein-Barr. Number 3 is a specific parasite called Blastocystis hominis. This is another one that's known to kind of linger and hang out and cause chronic immune system issues. And the same environment that allows Epstein-Barr to continue to replicate is actually the perfect home for Blastocystis hominis. The next one is yeast and candida. Now, this one can be a vicious cycle because the actual virus releases inflammatory proteins that help fuel and feed the yeast and candida in the body. But then when you have the yeast overgrowth, it also makes the perfect home for the virus to continue to replicate and get stronger. So they keep each other in there and they help each other power up. The next one is H. pylori. This is exactly what happened to me. H. pylori lives in your gut, but it can get stuck inside the gut lining, and it causes a major immune and inflammatory response in the body, which is something we know when the immune system is put into high alert and there's lots of inflammation, that is what can reactivate and continue the Epstein-Barr replicating. So H. pylori and Epstein-Barr come together quite often. And the last one is Lyme. I get this question all the time because a lot of people who have chronic Lyme disease also have chronic Epstein-Barr. And they'll ask me, if I have both, what should I tackle first? And in my opinion, I have found going after the viral load first is often more effective because of the way the virus gets inside your cells and changes the immune response, changes the way your DNA is replicating. It can make it tougher for you to get a hold of the Lyme if you haven't dealt with your viral load first, but it is also very common to have both. One of the things I almost always recommend when somebody is dealing with a chronic Epstein-Barr infection or any chronic health issues really is a comprehensive stool sample. Now, it's not going to check for Lyme, but it is going to check for any bacterial overgrowth and co-infections in the body. Parasites, yeast and fungus, it's going to look for candida, it's going to look for H. pylori, it's also going to look at your good bacteria versus your bad bacteria, it's going to look for your inflammation in your gut, it's going to look for immune system markers. There is so much vital information you need to know about what's going on inside your gut that will help you properly tackle and manage a chronic viral infection. So if you have not done that yet, highly suggest one of your next steps for your health is doing a comprehensive stool sample.